Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the OFFbit. My name is Dan Lopez. I am the OFFbit Tech. Today we're going to be doing something different to our usual show. Today we're going to be celebrating 40 years of gaming from 1982 to 2022. Now, these games are going to be in chronological order, starting at number 20, and we're going to be going all the way to number 1. Now, these are the games that inspired a young lad like this to get into tech and into computers. It also was the games that set the seed for a little YouTube show that we called the OFFbit Tech. Now, not all these games are going to be the ones that tickle your nostalgic glands like mine. So please feel free to leave your top 20 games list down below in the comments. We would love to hear what you have to say. Well, let's roll into the intro and strap in to watch the OFFbit Tech's top 20 games for the last 40-ish years. First game on my list from 1984 on the Commodore 64 is Cliffhanger. Many hours as a kid I spent playing this game. Cliffhanger has the same concept to the Roadrunner cartoons. This game in my mind was well before its time. It was made in 1984 and it was a lot of fun. The game was based around making a movie where you crush the other cowboy, and when you miss, you get angry. Still a golden oldie and one of my favourites. At number 19 from 1985 we have Who Dares Wins 2. This is another childhood favourite of mine that I played on my Commodore 64. It's basically a top-down shooter where you basically got to shoot the grey guys and you're the blue guy. The idea of the game was free all the bases by basically shooting your way through and capturing each point. From 1995, the C64 and these graphics and the gameplay were, in my books, just amazing for the system that we had to use. And it drew me back to play this game over and over again. At number 18, we have Space Quest 2, a real adventure classic. This game was brutal, as there were so many ways to fail or die in this game, though a real fun adventure game, and this game has a soft place in this tech's heart. A benchmark for all adventure games that came after this in my books. Though these days the graphics probably don't look so much, but at the time these games had stunning graphics. Space Quest 2 would never fail to give me a giggle or a laugh and made you think how to solve each puzzle, even if it was a comical answer more than something based on real life physics. Another plus about this game is you did learn how to type, and believe it or not, I did learn how to spell to some degree, though I still fail to complete simple spelling, even in this game as we speak. And I've already failed playing this game within 5 minutes of starting. That's how brutal, but how fun this game was. Number 17 in our list, from 1988, we have Microprose Soccer for the Commodore 64. For its time, this game had amazing gameplay. The graphics were quite good, and the ball changing size and you're able to curve it with replays. This game was really fun. This is one of my favorite games as a kid and the only go-to soccer player game I would play with friends or just by myself. The controls were very simple to master as there was only one button and a joystick, but it was so well done and implemented and the replays just made the game look nice. At number 16 from 1988 on the Commodore 64, we have Zack McCracken. With Sierra and LucasArts pumping out some great quality adventure games, the 80s and 90s was really, in my books, the golden age of adventure games. McCracken from LucasArts really did have some fun and quirky storylines, and definitely some interesting twists. And in my mind, this game is still going to be a great run through to play today. The graphics still deliver a fun, playable experience, and the jokes still tickle my funny bone. At number 15 from 1990 on the Amiga, we have The Secret of Monkey Island. Monkey Island, in my mind, was the pinnacle of adventure games from the 80s and 90s. You play a pirate wannabe, Guybrush Threepwood, who is trying to make his way as a pirate. This game offers adventure and the best of comedy. This game was one of the first adventure games I played. Every Friday afternoon, I would go to my friend's house after school and play Secret of Monkey Island with his brothers and sisters all around on their Amiga. I really do love this game, and I really love the complete series, not just the first game, but all of them. And I eagerly await for another chapter to be added to this game from Ron Gilbert, a legendary video game designer, programmer, and producer responsible for the Monkey Island games and other LucasArts adventure games of the time. At number 14 from 1990 on the PC, we have Stunts. I believe this game was also put under the name of 4D Sports Driving or something along those lines. Stunts is a stunt car racing game that came with its own track editor. The game was fun and it was endless with the track editor being able to make as many tracks in any obscure way you want to. Now, if I was to compare this game to some game today or something that had a similar idea to be the success of this game, I'd have to say it was Nardio's Trackmania. Though this game didn't actually support multiplayer support, you could actually race each other based on your timing. The game also came with a great replay editor where you could review and even continue racing from any point you wanted from that replay. The game did come with some fun aerodynamics, and it did have some amazingly fun bugs that even made the aerodynamics even more greater. One of the big bugs that come to mind was the top speed bug that could be done with this F1 car that we're looking at. In a certain gear at a certain speed, the thing would go maximum throttle and nothing would slow it down until you crashed into something. And if you were able to hit the air in a certain way, you could go flying for miles. And the outcome was comedic gold. From 1999, we have Microprocessors F1 GP for the PC MS-DOS system. With stunning graphics and the use of polygon models, this game was amazing for its time. The game was probably the most realistic car race sim of its time, or at least that I know about. And as a young teenage boy, cars was my domain, and spending hours learning F1 tracks around the world not only for some reason seemed important, but it was also fun. Microsoft's F1 GP supported timeshare multiplayer and serial link multiplayer, though I only ever played timeshare multiplayer with friends, where we'd race on the same team and switch over. Such a great game for its time, and still this game has a soft spot in my mind and in my heart. At number 12, from 1993, we have SimCity 2000 from Maxis. This legendary city builder really was the base of all city builders in my mind. This one was not the first game in the series, but to me it was the game to be played. This game I religiously would come home after school and play it for hours on end. This game offered different height terrains, the ability to turn the maps around. We had the ocean and the rivers. We had the forests, we had blank land, we also had underground where we could put pipes and put in subway lines. SimCity 2000 really did feel like a 3D game, while it was done with a bit of program trickery. There were many ways to have a look at buildings from different angles, be able to rotate the map, zoom in, zoom out. You could even build great cities or horrible cities where pollution was through the roof. This game was a lot of fun, and in its true sense, it was a simulator. And it will always be one of my favorites in the last 40 years of gaming and further on. At number 11, we have its iconic game, Doom. This game is one of my all-time favorites. This game racked up heaps of press on its release, bad and good. id Software went from a massive game Wolfenstein to the explosive Doom. This shareware version reportedly crashed university servers around the US on its release. Like I said, Doom exploded on the scene with its use of 3D, and really this game redefined first-person shooters as a genre. To this day, I still play this game from time to time, and to top it off, there is a scene out there who's trying to make Doom run on everything, from calculators to even Lego bricks. How insane is that? Yep, this game is a cult hit, and it was and still is, in my mind, amazing. At number 10 from 1994, we have The Settlers on PC. The Settlers was a beautiful medieval simulator building game. It was also sold as well under the name Surf City, which I do believe. Now, this game really did focus on industry to make sure you kept everything from food to minerals in balance to make sure you could build a thriving settlement. The game's graphics did have a comical feel, with cute little servants carrying gear from A to B, building little quaint little towns to build your little settlement from just a small settlement to a giant kingdom. The game had a few different sets of terrains, mainly the green grassy area, which can have lots of trees and sometimes lots of rocks, to some of the mountains with snowy tops. Now these mountains you could also dig up minerals. Also at the odd occasion you'll run into enemies. And the combat and the aspect how it worked was nothing that I'd ever seen before in a game. and it's also worth noting I've never seen anything like it since. However, the greatest draw to this game is the industry and building those industries up to make sure they work well together. The cute little characters will have you in glee as you watch them manufacture small tools or make food. At number 9 we have the need for speed. As a teenager, this game answered all my car dreams in one little software package. From fast cars speeding down long, scenic straight roads to the windy curves cascading through the mountains. What teenage boy could not resist playing this game? And just as I was a teenage boy at the time, back when this game was released in 1994, I would find myself religiously coming home and playing this game every day after school. Once again, just like SimCity and a few other games. Me and a few other computer mates would play this game and we'd compare our times from each track, trying to find who was the fastest in each section and the overall track. This game had amazing graphics for its time, and the driving feel was actually quite fun, though not realistic, but it wasn't overly fake either, and it's one of my favourite games of all times. Number 8, we have id Software's Quake, released back in 1996. This game is an absolute classic. To me, this was really the first full 3D first-person shooter. With the ability to have bridges or underwater rooms, the game had a gothic feel which really worked well for this game. The maps looked amazing and the colour palette that was used worked so well with the maps and the feel of the game. One of the real beauties of this game was its multiplayer. When Quake was released, it was on a regular occasion I would lug my own computer to my friends' houses to duel out hours on end in deathmatch or even playing some of the Team Fortress mods that were made for Quake at the time. Quake really was the first game in my mind to start the online multiplayer for first-person shooters. At number 7 we had Battlefield 1942 for Windows. Released in 2001, this game exploded on the scene as one of the funnest multiplayer games to play online. In fact, I remember distinctly playing the demo of Battlefield 1942 in one of my electronic tech classes instead of studying. Everyone was in on it and it was great fun. This game really has some fond memories in my mind, and I think this game still would play well with a group of mates who are willing to put up with not as top great graphics as cutting edge graphics are like today. However, the game still does look actually quite pretty. Some of the models are a little bit blocky for today's standard. This game has a great feeling gameplay, and the rules are still very much based around the rules from current versions of Battlefield of today. Now this game still runs on Windows 10, so feel free to give this game a go with friends. The multiplayer demo is still quite easily found on the internet. The download and install is quite small, so it's quite fast and easy to set up. At number 6 we have Counter-Strike Source from 2004 on Windows. Though this is not the first iteration of Counter-Strike, as it was originally a mod for Half-Life 2. This game really did take a lot of my 20s, where I sunk precious study time into playing this game instead. Counter-Strike itself really does not need an introduction. It is still a very popular game on Steam, and the new version named Counter-Strike Go is still also very popular and has competitive leagues that are played around the world. Counter-Strike Source is still one of my favourite games and is still one of my favourite LAN games to play with friends, and it will be probably forever. At number 5 we have Minecraft, released in 2011 on Windows as a Java version, and now you can find it on multiple systems and consoles. This game really is like playing Lego on a computer or a console. The graphics are easy on the eye and they don't look like anything special, but this game keeps on getting picked up by the next generation and the next generation. This game will just keep going as more and more kids play this, and this game is one of the best survival games out there in my mind, and with a bunch of friends it's awesome and I love it. At number 4 we have Gearbox's game Borderlands 2, released in 2012 on the Windows operating system.
New vault is buried located in the center of a large crater and will only open, and I quote, once the champion of Pandora feeds it the blood of the ultimate coward.
We at the Tour Corporation sincerely believe this is fucking awesome! It's so awesome that we're gonna set up a tournament to find us #1 badass. If you want in, come to where the vault is buried. In the badass crater of badassitude!
That's not what the area is called!
Badass crater of badassitude!
This game is one of the best 4-player co-op games out there. Find a group of friends and get ready for some of the best first-person RPG ever made. It has a stack of jokes to keep the game fun, a gazillion random guns to keep you hunting for loot, and a stack of enemies and bosses to fight that will keep you entertained for hours. One of the best co-op games ever made, and you should give it a go if you haven't. At number 3, we have GTA 5, released on Windows in 2013. This game is one of the biggest FPS RPG games you'll ever play. With rich single-player content and great RPG multiplayer content where you can run businesses or drug empires. This game is stacked with pretty graphics, great car physics, great air physics. It's really one of the best games of all times in my mind. At number 2, we have Fortnite. Released in 2017 on Windows, this game is one of the best Battle Royale games that you will play. Though it may not have been the first of the Battle Royale games like PUBG, it really has standed the test of time. This game is continuously changing and it's always great fun to play with a squad with a group of friends. Finally, number 1, we have Sea of Thieves that was released on Windows in 2018. This game is one of the best, in fact the most favourite OFFbit Tech game of all time. I played with this with a group of friends and all I can remember is fun adventure after fun adventure. If you can find the right crew, this game will be uncomparable to any other game when it comes to co-op. That's in my opinion anyway. Though the game gives you little help and aids to sail a ship, it can be done quite easily with the right crew. This game really relies on teamwork, and teamwork will make or break battles. A great crew will dominate the seas of that server, and there is nothing more fun than being those guys that have the crew that can call the shots on the server. This game is really a great adventure game to be playing with friends, but you really do need to pick your friends to have your adventures, and you need to pick those adventures. If you don't make them up by yourself, you pick up one of the adventures that are set inside the game. With the pretty graphics and the great teamwork with a bunch of mates, this is one of my favourite games by far. Well, that's all we have today for another episode of The OFFbit. We hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as I have. I would like to thank our Patreon supporters for your support, and if you want to support us here at The OFFbit, please hit that like and subscribe button. Furthermore, you can join us on Patreon, or you can also support us on Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you once again for watching us here, and we'll catch you guys next time on The OFFbit.